2:17 in the morning. Harry's halfway through his security shift. Walking past a laundromat he's passed 800 times before. Washers spinning, dryers tumbling, payment screen glowing green. And nobody inside. Not one person. Those machines just made $14 while Harry walked past checking locks for $17 an hour. Michael Gerber calls this the system principle in the E-Myth Revisited. The businesses that survive aren't built on hustle. They're built on systems that run without you. And the data backs it up. Businesses with automated systems have a 98% success rate compared to 20% that fail. In year one, doing everything manually. Tonight, Harry's not just walking security rounds. He's doing research. See, here's the problem nobody talks about. 72% of Americans say they need a secondary income just to stay afloat. And 36% already have a side hustle. But the median side hustle income, $200 a month. That's it. Because most people solve the money problem the same way. They trade more hours, pick up a weekend gig, drive for a rideshare app, bartend on Fridays. And yeah, it works. For a while. Until you're running on 4 hours of sleep, burning through your health, and realizing you've just built yourself a second job instead of a second income stream. The math doesn't lie. There are only so many hours you can sell. But a machine doesn't sleep. A digital product doesn't take vacation days. A system doesn't call in sick. And that difference, trading hours versus building systems, is the difference between working harder and working smarter. That's what Harry couldn't stop thinking about after that laundromat walk. He went home that morning, poured a cup of coffee at 6 a.m., and started pulling data on his phone. Not on businesses that sounded cool, not on whatever was trending online. On businesses that could run while he was clocking someone else's hours. Businesses where the owner didn't need to be present for the cash register to ring. He called it his sleep income investigation. Businesses where the work happens once but the money keeps showing up. And what he found over the next few weeks, honestly, it changed how he saw money forever. The first one surprised him. ATM machines. Most people don't even realize you can own these things privately. The startup cost are around $3,000 for one machine. You find a high-traffic location, a gas station, a barbershop, a small grocery store. Negotiate a placement deal and load it with cash. Every time someone pulls out a 20, you collect a transaction fee. Typically $2.50 to $3.50 per withdrawal. An average machine handles about 300 transactions a month. That's potentially $900 a month from a $3,000 machine. And 30 minutes a week to restock the cash and check receipts. Harry wrote that number down. $300 to $1,500 a month depending on location. Time required. Half an hour a week. He circled it twice. Not bad for a machine that just sits there. Then he found vending machines. Similar concept, different product. A basic machine costs between $1,500 and $6,000. You stock it with snacks, drinks, or even specialty items like protein bars or phone chargers. I place it in an office building, a gym lobby, a laundromat. There's that word again. Revenue runs between $300 and $600 per machine per month. 1 to 2 hours a week restocking and collecting. The vending industry is projected to hit $25 billion by 2027. And here's what really caught Harry's attention. A CNBC feature on a guy who built a $300,000 a year vending business working 4 hours a week. Not 4 hours a day. Saw 4 hours a week. That's less time than Harry spends on his Thursday night patrol route. One operator, dozens of machines, all of them humming away in lobbies and break rooms across the city while their owner sleeps. But Harry noticed something about both of these. They require physical machines, physical locations, cash to load, or product to restock. So he kept digging, looking for something with zero physical inventory. And that's when he stumbled onto print on demand. Here's how it works. You create a design, a phrase, an illustration, a logo. You upload it to a platform. When someone orders a t-shirt or a mug or a phone case with your design, the company prints it, ships it, and handles returns. You never touch the product. You never even see the product. Your profit margin sits between 70 and 90% because there's no inventory cost. The startup? Anywhere from $0 to $500. The print-on-demand market hit $12.96 billion last year, and it's growing at 26% annually. 3 to 5 hours a week managing designs and marketing. Harry sat back in his chair. No warehouse, no delivery truck, no cash to reload, just designs and a laptop. Now here's where Harry hit a wall, and this is important, because this is where most people quit. He'd been researching for 3 straight weeks. Tabs open everywhere, YouTube videos bookmarked, spreadsheets half-filled, ATMs, vending machines, print on demand, plus a dozen other ideas he'd collected along the way. And one night after his shift, he sat staring at his phone. Paralyzed. Information overload. Too many options. Every business looked good on paper. Every business had someone online swearing it changed their life. And every business had someone else calling it a scam. He couldn't pick. He couldn't start. He was drowning in research and starving for action. Gerber warned about exactly this in the E-Myth Revisited. He said most people who fail at business don't fail because they picked the wrong thing. They fail because they never picked anything. They stay in research mode forever, becoming experts at preparation and amateurs at execution. And Harry, sitting in his studio apartment at 4 in the morning with 37 browser tabs open, recognized himself in that description immediately. So he did something uncomfortable. He stopped researching, closed every tab, saw and took his savings, $2,300 he'd been building for 11 months, and bought his first ATM machine. Not because it was the perfect choice, because it was the possible choice. The one he could afford right now, this week, with the money he already had. That's a concept worth remembering. The best business isn't the one with the highest potential, it's the one you can actually start. But what if you could go bigger? Because those first 3 businesses, their entry points. They're where you start when you're making $2,847 a month and you've got more ambition than capital. The next level, that's where the real separation happens. Digital products and online courses. Startup cost ranges from $0 to $5,000. You create something once. A course on budgeting, a template pack for small businesses, an ebook on a skill you've spent years learning, and sell it infinitely. No restocking. No shipping. No location deals. Revenue could range from $1,000 to $7,000 a month, 2 to 5 hours a week once it's built. The initial creation takes real effort, weeks or even months of work up front. But after that, it sells at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday while you're sleeping. A single product, selling to strangers around the world over and over again without you lifting a finger, which is exactly the point. And then there's the one that started all of this, laundromats. Remember that 2:17 a.m. moment? Those machines spinning in the dark? The laundry industry generates $5 billion a year in the United States alone. A laundromat costs between $200,000 and $600,000 to buy or build. Serious capital. But the monthly revenue? $5,000 to $30,000 depending on size and location. And here's the part that makes it a true sleep business. Modern laundromats run on card payment systems, remote monitoring apps, and automated alerts for machine failures. 4 to 15 hours a week of actual owner involvement. Some owners manage multiple locations from their phone while sitting on their couch. Harry looked at those numbers and something clicked. That laundromat he'd been walking past for 3 years, the one that started this whole investigation, the owner probably wasn't losing sleep over it. The owner was probably sleeping because of it. Now, here's the reveal Harry wasn't expecting. The one that changed his entire understanding of what a business could be. And this, right here, is the part that matters most. Self-storage facilities, on the surface, boring. Metal buildings, rolling doors, padlocks, nothing glamorous. But underneath that boring exterior sits one of the most profitable business models in the entire country. Startup cost is high, $1.5 million or more for a new facility. But the revenue ceiling is the highest of anything Harry had researched. And the time commitment, less than 2 hours a week with proper automation. Here's why. Tenants rent a unit online. Payment processes automatically. Late fees apply automatically. Access is controlled by electronic gates and keypad codes. There's no inventory to manage because the customers bring their own stuff. The overhead is almost nothing. No employees needed for a small facility, minimal maintenance, and customers tend to stay for years. The average self-storage tenant keeps their unit for over 14 months. That's 14 months of automatic recurring revenue from one single customer who signed up once. Gerber's system principle, in its purest form. On a building that generates money through systems, not labor, not hustle, not showing up at 2 in the morning. Harry stared at that one for a long time. He couldn't afford it now, not even close. But he could see the path. Start with the ATM. Stack the profits. Add a vending machine. Build the digital product on the side. Reinvest everything. The self-storage facility wasn't a fantasy. It was a milestone on a map he was already walking. And that map, the one that goes from a $3,000 ATM to a multi-million-dollar storage empire. That's the road Gerber was talking about. Systems building on systems. But there was one more business on Harry's list, and this one flipped everything he thought he knew. Airbnb rental arbitrage. You do not own the property. Read that again. You don't buy a house. You don't need a mortgage. You don't need a down payment. You don't need $300,000 in capital. Instead, you rent a property. With the landlord's written permission, furnish it for $5,000 to $15,000, and list it on short-term rental platforms. The difference between your monthly rent and your nightly booking revenue is your profit. $1,000 to $3,000 per unit per month. Some operators manage 5, 10, even 20 units this way, without owning a single piece of real estate. The key is the system. Automated booking, automated guest messaging, i.e. a cleaning crew on rotation, dynamic pricing software that adjusts your nightly rates based on demand. Harry had spent his whole investigation assuming you needed to own things to make money from them. This model proved him wrong. Harry leaned back. 7 businesses, 7 systems. Every single one built on the same principle Gerber wrote about decades ago. Work on the business, not in it. The ones that survive aren't powered by one person grinding until they collapse. They're powered by processes that repeat without permission, without supervision, and without an alarm clock. 3 months after buying that first ATM machine, Harry checked his numbers. $317 from the ATM that month, after expenses. Not life-changing money, not retirement money. But here's what was life-changing about it. He earned it while working his security shift, while sleeping, while doing laundry, while watching a movie on his day off. And $317 showed up in his account from a machine sitting in a convenience store 7 miles from his apartment. And he realized something that shook him. For the first time in his life, he'd made money without trading an hour for it. That's the freedom moment, not the number, the realization. 20 years of working meant 20 years of believing that money only comes when you show up, that every dollar requires a timestamp and a punch card. Saw and one ATM machine in a gas station on Route 9. Proved that belief completely wrong. 20.4% of new businesses fail in their first year. But the ones that survive? Almost every single time. They built systems first and showed up second. The question isn't which of these 7 businesses is best. They all work. The question is, which one can you start with what you have right now? This week, before the research paralysis buries another good intention? It's 2:17 in the morning somewhere right now. A laundromat's running with no one inside. A vending machine just dispensed a protein bar to a night shift nurse. An ATM printed a receipt in an empty gas station. And someone's online course just got purchased by a stranger in a completely different time zone. Those owners might be sleeping, they might be working a day job, they might be sitting exactly where you are right now, watching this, wondering if any of it's real. It is. The machines don't care what time it is. The systems don't know you're not there. And the money shows up whether you're awake or not. The only thing standing between you and that first machine, that first product, that first listing, is the same thing that almost stopped Harry. The belief that you need to figure it all out before you start anything. You don't? Pick one, buy one, build one, and let it run while you sleep.